Hello.
My greetings. Well met. Greetings, traveler. Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Hello and welcome to Concede episode 277, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, February 4th in the evening. From Gadgetan, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Karazhan, California, we've got BottGots.
Is it also National Plumbing Day?
It is,
Apparently.
yes, we will talk about it, but it certainly seems to be some kind of global celebration, or at least cross-country celebration. And from the scenic views of Nomergon, Cleveland, we've got Edelweiss. Who's muted?
Seriously?
Oh, you're unmuted now. You're good. Great.
Okay. I don't think I was muted. I guess I just said that quietly.
Don't tempt fate. Don't. Okay.
But regardless, hello everyone.
Hello. Yeah, so you've been traveling. Well, we'll talk to you about that in Life and Letter in 1 second. But, oh, Matt, don't even. And listeners, we are supported directly by you. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to find out how you can support us, receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/CoinConcede. Well, support us by leaving an iTunes review. Free and helps other people find the show. Really grateful to everyone that's left us a review lately. We will talk about those on the bonus episode next week with a special guest. And it's going to be about Battlegrounds. So check that out. But also we have new patrons. Patchouli Fox, thank you so much for your support. And we have more producers. I swear we don't normally get new producers every week. But Cap and Beef Squatch have both upped their pledge. Thank you so much, Cap and Beef Squatch. You've been with us for a long, long time. Really appreciate your support. And now you have those fancy orange names. We have so many producers we had to make a chat room for them. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah. Really cool. Appreciate it. All right. Edelweiss, why are you in Nomergon?
So I'm in Nomergon because I'm visiting my in-laws. And yeah, it had been a very, very long time. And although I am kind of used to that with my family, my in-laws are not. I shouldn't say used to it. We're more tolerating of that. But yeah, we did everything we could to make it as safe as possible. Didn't stop at any rest stops on the way except to like get gas, didn't go inside, use the bathroom in the woods, etc. And the state regulations actually, they're like we have to have a negative test, so we've gotten tested, so we have negative tests to be able to leave the state. Yeah, like on the one hand, I think it's good to have a like pod of people for your sanity, but it's just I don't know. I feel weird about it, even though we're doing it as safely as possible. But it is nice to see, another human in person besides my wife. So.
Yes, it's been a while since I've seen too many people like, well, I have to take public transit into work, but those aren't people, those are like subway, anyways, I'm glad you're safe. And,
and I've stopped working in person, so that kind of balanced.
You took all the precautions you could. Yeah, totally get it. Yeah, be safe, enjoy time with family, and I'm glad your internet is holding up.
It is. I ran a speed test, and it's not like it's bad. Like there was a time when I would have considered this internet perfectly reasonable. When I was a kid, basically, it's like 26 down, like 4.5 up. But at my place, I have like 300 down, so bit of an adjustment from that.
YouTube just buffers longer. Yeah, is what it is. How is your Hearthstone and gaming life going?
I am very confused because I hit Legend really early on stream on Tuesday, so day 2 Legend, which is not a thing that I normally do. But off stream, I had climbed with a Demon Hunter with Desk Imps and Philosophies and double Cult Neophyte, double Revenant Rascal. So I was just messing with people's mana the whole day. That climbed me very quickly up to Diamond 5, or I get Diamond 5, Diamond 4 area, and then I did the rest of the climb with Secret Mage and had like a 70% win rate. So I entered at around top 200.
Wait, did you say Demon Hunter?
No,
That's-
no
I
Warlock.
swear,
Sorry.
I swear I thought
might-
you said Demon Hunter, and
I
then
might
you
have said
started
Demon
listing
Hunter,
off,
but
and then you
might have
started
said Demon
listing off
Hunter, but
Warlock
I
cards.
meant Warlock. I meant
No.
Zoo.
Demon,
Like, low to the
demon
ground
friend.
Zoo, no
Demon
hand
supporter.
Of on, no. Yeah, it was. It also had double Frenzied Fellwing, who we have not seen in a while. But when you get 0 mana things and then philosophy them, give them +1/+1, play them for free, pretty great.
Thank God Demon Hunter doesn't have Revenant Rascal. Man, that would tilt me.
Mana Burn's bad enough.
Yeah.
I feel like Mana Burn would be good right now because it's so great knowing that your paladin opponent has kept Allura, and you're just like, hey, guess what mana we're back to? Hey, guess how much your spells cost? And then they just die.
I mean, Mana Burn is still around, but yes, it would be good in Zoo or more Mana Denial concentrated would be better. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Secret Mage, definitely tweet that list if you haven't already.
What do you mean?
I want to know.
Oh, tweet it. I thought you said tweak.
No,
like, change
tweet.
it. And I'm like, what?
No.
Why do I need to change?
Put it out on the internet.
I mean, it's really the CHS replay list. I'll post what I used. Someone asked for the deck code, and I gave it to them. But it's honestly one of the more boring lists I've used. I had Secret Keepers instead of Frostbolt, and it runs double Apexis Smuggler, which is quite a nice way to give you extra counterspell against things where that matters with this OTK meta.
Is Apexis Smuggler boring to you? Because I haven't played a lot of that card.
I mean, it's what I mean by boring is like I took almost exactly from HS Replay. Like I didn't change anything. And I think if you're facing aggro rogues, you want a copy of Ice Barrier, but I have double Netherwind Portal because the deck slaughters Token Druid is the main thing.
That Arcane Flak Mage card. That's a pretty good card.
Flak Mage is really good. You stick that and they're just like, oh, I don't have any more of my lunar eclipses. I guess I lose. It's they have a tough time with that. So you do have to time your secrets properly. I definitely lost some games because I didn't take my opportunity that I knew was going to be like the one window to like play Rigged Fair Game and have it activate, and tried to develop more. Sometimes you just need to recognize what turns you're going into for your opponent, and that if you can proc Rigged Fair Game, like that's the reason the deck is good in large part. And usually when you get it off, those 3 cards are going to help you to get over the finish line. And certain decks right now can pretty easily keep you from ever activating it. So if you have the opportunity, you need to take it.
We call those decks Rogue. So yes.
Rogue, anything with pen flingers can be rough.
Yeah, the Libram Paladin is unlikely on like turn 3, fling your face and then play something else, so you can sneak it out there.
When I distinctly remember against a Bomb Warrior where I made that mistake. I just like tried to develop more instead of taking the opportunity to activate Rigged Fair Game, and it definitely lost me the game. So, but I was already in top 200 at that point, so I didn't feel too bad.
Yes,
I think it was against Lambie series. So.
They're a reasonable player to lose to, I suppose. Yeah. BottGots, how about you?
So, Hearthstone-wise, I feel like Edelweiss is talking a bunch of nonsense because I've played about, I haven't played a ton of games, maybe 5 or 6, and Secret Mage feels terrible to me. Like, every time I've played that deck, it just doesn't feel good. Like, in one of my first games, I just didn't draw a secret for the first 10 turns of the game. Like, just literally no secrets for the first 10 turns of the game. Felt terrible. And then I played a couple other games where, like, I would get off rigged fair game and just the deck just didn't do anything. Like, the minions all just died, and so I never got in any chip damage. And you definitely don't have enough burn damage to finish out the game. So, Edelweiss is just playing a different game than me. I mean, I am not as in tune with the game as I've been before, so I'm sure that my play could have been more optimized, but just playing the deck felt very how do I put it? It did not feel good. So
underwhelming.
It's one of those decks, because I played a friendly game against Hat for some experience points, and I got kind of close to doing something, and Hat's like, "Hey, that deck seems like pretty legit." I'm like, "Yeah, it's seems like a deck that just never wins, but is always very close to winning." Like, it just feels like you're so close to winning, and then you just don't win any games with it. So probably playing wrong, but yeah, did not enjoy my experience playing Mage. Also tried a bit of Ike Mage. That felt better, but I played against combo mages, which were better at killing me. So lost those, but the deck felt better at least. Played a bit of big druids. I don't know.
Which
I
big,
just
like
liked
Highlander
ramping.
or like
No,
Breath of
just
Dreams?
ramp into survival druid.
Okay.
Or what's the card that they nerfed? I should know this.
Hysteria?
You pull the druid card that got moved to 8 mana from 7.
Guardian Animals.
Guardian. Yeah, so the new Guardian Animals list felt good. I don't know. And then played a few battlegrounds. In case you were wondering, getting Caligos with Alexstrasza on turn 9 is good, and I would highly recommend it. If you can do that, you should try to do that, because it's good. And yeah, I'm interested to see what their next big plans are for BGs, because I kind of want to feel, or I kind of want to change from the turbo leveling meta, and I don't know how they would achieve that, but the turbo leveling meta is questionable, to say the least.
Say wearing out its welcome. That's how I'd phrase it.
Yeah,
Like maybe a month would have been fine, but now it's starting to be like, all right, did I hit it or not?
I mean, I like getting to an early Bran or an early Light Fang. It's fun to do that. And like sometimes I think I hit a Light Fang with, I don't even,
Is the Darkmoon Prize on house?
No, Yasharaj, right?
Oh,
Yasharaj, pay 2 mana, you get the...
Oh, that's fun when that happens.
Yeah, there's a pretty sweet, like, quick leveling strat with Yasharaj where you get going pretty... you get to just, like, sequence out a turn of level, sell minion, hero power, get random minion from that tier. That can turn out pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, I still enjoy playing BGs. I want the meta to get changed up a bunch, because I like when you have to learn what's going to be good. Because I like the Darkmoon prizes, and it definitely gave a refresh to Battlegrounds, but it didn't really give a play pattern refresh to it, and hopefully they are looking at trying to figure out how to do that again. Because you can make a whole bunch. If you can figure out how to make it not a leveling meta, then all of a sudden a whole bunch of different heroes become really good again.
I want Greybow to be good so badly, so badly.
Oh, me
Greybow's
too. I
bad.
I was so close to winning a game with Greybow. I got second. I think I just like screwed up positioning or something. But I found that the HS tracker doesn't know how to calculate for, I don't know if it's Greybow or taunts, but Greybow, since it gives all your tokeny things taunt, is really great with the 4-star that adjacent minions get buffed when a taunt dies.
Yeah, it's the deck tracker doesn't quite get Greybow right and doesn't quite get Khadgar right. The simulator.
So I had a bunch of times where it's like, I don't think that's information that is correct, because I know I've been winning and feel pretty strong, and it kept saying I was like 70 or 80% to lose, and then I would crush them. So that was interesting. But
yeah, I mean, if it was not a leveling meta, Greybow would be insane, right?
I think
Because
so.
the
Yeah.
early game for Greybow is just like unrivaled, pretty much. As long as you hit anything that with Reborn or makes a token, it's just like you just don't beat the hero early, but into the late game, the hero power just doesn't really scale, and you can't turbo level with it as well. You might be able to if you hit some like good early stuff, but I don't know. I've seen some Greybow games where it can get kind of out of hand. Like, I've definitely had some opponents get out of hand with Greybows, but I mean, if the stats aren't showing that it's doing well, then that's also understandable.
It's a fun hero,
like-
and the comp that you'd want to go with it is not a real comp, because I've tried so many times for Greybow Champion of Yasharash to be real. It's not real. You can't do it. You cannot build taunt comp. I want it to be real. It's not real.
I think you can do it with the one that buffs adjacent if you can get it golden quickly and just like hit really hard early on. But it's got to be like mechs or something.
Ship or boat. Boat would be pretty
Oh,
good.
boat would be good, yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, my audio is freaking out. 1 second. Yep, it's not you, it's me.
Though Mozaki Mage, and I made a sound. That is because I'm just remembering that this guy on ladder, who I don't know if it's the same one that's a listener of ours, Joaquin, has murdered me every single time we faced each other on ladder with Mozaki Mage. I swear, it's just been, 1 to 2 reduced cost of all his spells. Forget the name of that card. I don't remember the name, but 2 mana reduce the cost. Incanter's Flow.
Yeah,
Thank you, Wash.
Incanter's Flow, yeah.
And
It's,
then play a biscuit, go off on like turn 5 or 6. Just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you just auctioneer. It's a sweet deck for sure, but yeah, I think I had a game against it where I think I needed to freeze their auctioneer. I think you just like, if you can freeze out their auctioneer and make it so that they can't go off, you can win those, but they can also just kind of kill it off sometimes, like as long as they know what they're doing. So I had a game where I didn't really have they outdrew me with auctioneer and were able to combo kill me. But then I had another game where I got to turn 10 and Caligos Pyroblast you, and they had to go off the next turn because they knew they were dead. So that was actually a sweet turn because I got to go Caligos, Pyroblast, whatever the thing you get from Biscuit is. Biscuit, spell damage minion, snow person.
Glacier Racer.
Glacier Racer, Frostbolt, you put you to 1, and so they have to go off, and then I just get to ping them the next turn. That's always so satisfying when you're just like, all right, well, you're at 1, and I'm playing Mage, so if you don't kill me, it's just I don't play any cards and I ping you in the face.
Yeah, the way they would have to do it is to go off with Mozaki into Cram Session instead of Auctioneer, which usually is not how it goes.
Imprisoned Phoenix, though, that's a sweet card.
Oh,
very much,
yeah.
very
we'll
much
talk about
enjoyed
that
going
card.
off with Imprisoned Phoenix into draw a bunch of cards.
Mm-hmm.
The restart has caused audio issues on my end. I'm gonna try a couple things real quick here. I know we're live, and it's probably gonna freak out. It's probably gonna freak out.
Well.
But we're gonna try. I'm gonna try it just for a little.
So, Edelweiss, explain to me why you what is the most likely cause.
Oh no, that's terrible.
I mean, one is you could actually be hitting the bad matchups, which is probably like Zoo and Aggro Rogue. Perhaps some Paladins as well. I don't know. The other is just like knowing what secrets you need and how to mulligan. Like if you just didn't get any secrets for 10, unlucky.
Yeah, I mean
I
that was one of the games I just did that, and then I think another game, the Paladin went turn 1, first day of school, and got the mech that increases its toughness by 1 at the start of your turn every turn. And I played
kind of adult it.
well, yeah, I think I had to play out the secret, the one that cares about, your secret gets reduced to 1 cost, and then they just hand a Vidalda, and I was like, well, I can never kill that minion, so I'm just conceding on turn 2. But you just don't have a whole lot else going on for you, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, I have contemplated swapping them for Wand Thieves, though, just for the extra burst potential and sort of discover outs, because, as you say, Devolving Missiles would be great there. And later in the game, Secret Keepers aren't necessarily as good. But I find the most important thing is decks where Nether Portal is good are usually your good matchups. Because getting 4 drops from opponent casting a spell often messes things up for them pretty well, right. Particularly because you'll have Counterspell and Netherwind Portal up, and they'll activate the Counterspell, and then they'll play their board clear, and then you get a 4-drop. So it's really nice in that way. And against Druid in particular, or the OTK Demon Hunters, which are so many spells, playing the 2-mana draw into a free Netherwind Portal and you just run it out immediately, it means you get a 4-drop on turn 3, and that can snowball sometimes.
Okay.
Also,
I don't
setting
think I'm
up.
going to play the deck, but I think this is good for the listeners who may be interested in playing the deck since you're doing well with it, and then I am going to continue to not touch that deck because.
I should call the deck I don't know if catch-22 would be the right word, but or phrase, but you set up situations where they're kind of darned if they do, darned if they don't. Like you set up rigged fair game, and it's on a board that they're going to want to clear, And if they get the face damage in, you'll be able to Occult Conjurer on 4 and get your 2 4/4s. And if they don't, you get to draw 3 cards. So
Yeah. I think, yeah, the game I played against he was on Rogue, so I assume that had something to do with it. Why I was not successful in defeating him, but it felt like I even had it felt like I had a good game. I went Secret Keeper on 1. I think he had the backstab for it, and then developed a couple secrets that were annoying for him, but it's still just I got him lowish, but he was never really threatened to lose the game. He was still just kind of able to clear my minions. I never got a whole lot of face damage in. And it didn't feel like I had to expend a bunch of resources on his minions or anything, so it just felt like it came up short. And that happens sometimes. I didn't play a ton of games with it, so it could just be the variance, and the few games just didn't go well for me. But when I was playing it, it just didn't have a good feel for it. So I'm interested that you had a very positive experience. That I was just making a lot of mistakes, which is always can taint someone's point of view from a deck, and it's unfortunate, but it's the nature of the game.
I don't know if it had something to do with when I was climbing and where I was on the ladder. I know it's like MMR based, but I feel like it still factors in like some of your rank stuff. And like I said, I did the initial part of my climb with that zoo to get up to the Diamond 5 area, and that's when I switched to Secret Mage. So it might have just been that once I hit that point, more of the decks I was facing were kind of the favorable or doable if you hit the counterspell right kind of matchups. Let me tell you, Ramp Pally does not have great ways of dealing with counterspell. So
yeah, I assume not, and we know how that deck goes when you don't get to
tip the scales.
Yeah,
it's really funny sometimes where you're better against a paladin's good hand than their bad hand, because you know what to expect with the good hand, and the bad hand is just them playing Murlocs and Angling Rod on curve. You're just these fishy flyers are so annoying. Just stop it. Just try and play the tip the scale.
Oh man.
What's happening?
Bunch of subs. Thank you so much.
Whoa!
I hate technical issues. All right, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Sharreep and Proby1, incredible. Gosh,
appreciate the
exact
support,
same time.
particularly when we're buying time for that.
Oh, you're doing fine. I don't know why.
I don't even know if they can hear us.
They can hear you. They could have heard
Okay.
because I keep switching. I made you all not sound horrible and nightmarish on my end, but I can't make them hear it. Let's try this again now. Because I can hear you, but they can't hear you now. Oh, okay, yeah. I gotta figure out. I don't know why it's because what this is doing now. And thank you so much, both Sharreep and Proby1. What it's doing now is all of our audio is going in the same stream, so that means to do mine, I have to manually mute all the parts where you're all talking, and that's a lot of editing work, so I'm trying to avoid that, but I don't know if I can avoid that, because for some reason the thing that I'm trying to do, where when I talk, it goes here. Oh, Craptasm is gifting now too. Oh, you're all so nice!
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Ugh.
Oh, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Another hype train.
Another hype train. Yeah, and a lot of people are here too. Thank you all so much for tuning in and sticking around while I'm messing with settings because I don't.
Doge TK is gonna be sad. He'll lose his crown, right?
I'm sure that he will be back and take care of stuff. I'm sure he'll be back. But yeah, this is Sharreep Charlie. Cherub. AK, thank you so much for the sub. How do I do this thing? I hate dealing with audio issues during the show, so I'm just gonna bite the bullet and deal with the editing pain. It made sense now why the levels weren't quite right.
Cha like Charlie made me think of Cha.
Oh, like Charlie the Unicorn.
The unicorn.
Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed that nothing in my house is working today. Oh yeah, this is still Life and Ladder, isn't it? I haven't gone yet.
It is. Yeah. Your life is audio issues.
Yeah,
Well, it was plumbing.
life is things
Oh yeah,
that are broken.
I didn't even get to say on the podcast. Also, we started a bit late tonight because there's a plumber at my house because there was water in my garage at the start of this week, and I thought it was because it was raining at the start of this week, and then as the week dried out, there was still water there and increasing amounts of it, and it wasn't a unmanageable amount, but it's still there. So had a plumber here to tell me that unfortunately the leak does not seem to be above ground, which means that it's in a slab, and they have to call somebody to see where it's leaking, which that'll be fun.
Yay.
And thank you, Proby1, for 5 more gifted subs.
Oh my goodness. X10.
So many.
Alright, I'm going to try this thing one more time, and then if I can't get it to work in the next 45 seconds, I'm just going to say screw it. In this case, it means that I'm going to commit to editing being a huge pain in the butt for me. Yeah, what can I do? Say stuff. Nope. Didn't work.
Yeah, plumbing issues. But not really, because I don't know any of that stuff. But my dad kind of knows that stuff, so he came by and yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Bot. Also, thank you, chat, for saying stuff. I appreciate you. Okay. There's a chance.
The same response as me.
I am looking forward to placing the audio disclaimer and saying, "Hey, this is the raw audio." But there's all that.
It's really raw.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
Anyway,
whatever. I need something new.
How was your life and ladder going to be before you realized how your next day is going to be of editing, Kat?
Next 2 days. So today it's been a week. So we got 1.5 feet of snow here in New York City on Monday. So, I counter to the rest of this year, I stayed home. I'm being sarcastic. I've been staying home all year. It's been, pandemic. It's ironic because yeah. See, I said something that I would normally be doing anyways, but I blamed it on a different reason, Yeah, there was that, and then today I went to wash my hands in the bathroom, and the sink was full of brown stuff. It wasn't poop, but it was brown and unfortunate. I think it was mud. I don't know. I spent 2 hours plunging it and snaking it and draining it and removing the trap and pouring Drano down. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a work in progress. And then here we are in the audio, and I'm like, their power went out over last night, and I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. Hey, why are my levels weird? Oh, I can't. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. As far as Hearthstone, I don't know. I've been doing what I do at the beginning of every month, which is play whatever I want. But there's a thing that happened yesterday. I have an Android phone, and yesterday on Android they released a game called Slay the Spire, and that game's in my pocket all the time now. And there are ups and downs.
And it doesn't require an internet connection like some other popular phone games that we have all been known to play at points in time.
This is correct.
Wait, what are you referring to?
Hearthstone.
Oh, that's not a phone game for me.
Did you know you can play that on your phone?
Yeah.
You go to the App Store.
Do you know this podcast is about
desperate.
Hearthstone?
I tried to play Hearthstone in bed on my phone at one point, and except I wanted to be casual, so I played BGs, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this again.
You played duels.
I should have played duels.
But also, just play regular Hearthstone. Or, yes, do BGs. Just play Hearthstone, but it's smaller.
If I'm doing Hearthstone mobile, it has to be on my iPad, which is like large. It's almost the size of my laptop screen. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But if you don't have your iPad, and you do have a pocket, Hearthstone's in there. And now, Slay the Spire's in there. So my productivity has gone down markedly. Also, BottGots, I know you have it on iOS. Do you have long press enabled? Long press confirmation is a deal maker. It's because I was running into situations. This is something I learned on the Switch, where I would accidentally press end turn, and so there's an option in the menu that lets you hold down the button before it does anything, and that's been clutch. It's been very important.
It does sound good.
Long press confirmations.
So
It
now,
is now checked.
yeah, so ending a turn, you have to hold it down, as opposed to just touching it and then the turn goes away, because I did that a few times on full mana.
Oh, I'm turning that off then. I don't need to do that.
Okay, well, I kept pressing the
I
wrong
don't-
thing.
I don't have that issue.
Okay, good for you.
But I did win a game with defect earlier today.
Yes.
It was very enjoyable because
So-
I got to play a lot of power cards.
Yes, I like power cards. The game came out yesterday at 1 o'clock Pacific. No, 1 o'clock Eastern. And by the time I woke up this morning, I had cleared on all 4 characters. So, I like that video game. It's a good game.
That's a good game.
I couldn't tell you what happened during the conference call today, though. I'm not really sure what happened. Well, no, I kind of know what happened. I had a nice watcher run. So, anyways,
I'm sure it wasn't important.
I mean, I hope not, because I was not paying attention. So, anyways, Hearthstone, just been playing kind of a lot of everything. Been really enjoying not Ramp Paladin, because I tried to play some Ramp Paladin, and oddly enough, in the MMR I'm in, I finished, I think, like 250 or 300. I kept running into golden cardback players playing Mozaki Mage, including a game against Ant where I went turn 4 Allure a Coin, and then I lost that game because they had the Frost Nova. And yeah, I got Mozaki'd. Or no, they didn't have the Frost Nova that game. He had the double main deck Arcane Explosion. That's right. You think I would have remembered that?
Ooh.
Yeah. So I believe it was Lab Partner, Arcane Explosion, something like that. I lost the game. Good for them. Mozaki Mage still not a great deck. But in the High Legend MMR, I suppose it makes sense if you're only seeing Paladins and Druids, as long as you main deck Arcane Explosion.
Yeah, it's disgusting solitaire.
I mean,
Not a fan.
but it's not good. It's not good. It's not a good deck.
I would say there are certain decks that can't beat it.
Sure,
So it
but it's not a good deck.
and certain hands that you can't beat, sort of regardless of what you are.
See,
and
I
so it
thought that
feels
too,
really
and
bad
then
to
I
me.
started playing a rogue deck with Nitro Boost Poison, and those hands seemed fine all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, they can't beat. That's a matchup I think the mage can't win. But
Well,
That's just like, so I started blasting.
so I started blasting. Yeah, it's Frank, so good. Yeah, that's basically what happened, right? And so I've tried a bunch of stuff this month. I tried Pheno's Warlock, the free admission Warlock. It's a weird deck. Played a bunch of Rogue. Played some of Jambray's Shaman, except I added in Stormstrike, and then played some of Appa's version, which had Stormstrike. Stormstrike's a great card. I don't know. Standard is... People are uppity about Standard right now. Some people are very clearly not a fan of it, and I'm not going to say that that's wrong. I'm going to say that if you're not enjoying the format, that's fine. If you want to take a break, that's fine. If you want to unilaterally judge the format, don't do that. Because I'm enjoying it right now, and I don't think the format should always be like this, but it's diverse and powerful and interesting and fun. Would I call it healthy? Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think I would call it healthy, but I don't think I would call it I don't think I would... Is eating McDonald's healthy? No. Is it enjoyable? Yes. Can you do it once in a while? Sure. Should it be all you eat? Absolutely not. That's kind of where I'm at. And there are times where I finish a game, I'm like, I don't want to do more of that, and then I go play one of the other modes. And BGs, I've been really enjoying BGs. I know it's not a ton, but I got myself over 7K this past week. Just been playing a lot of it. Really happy with the format, even though sometimes I get high rolled and sometimes I have 3 pairs and then never find a comp and die on turn 9. Like, just happens. I don't know. But yeah.
By the way, if you have 2 Khadgars and an alley cat and a mama bear, you should play the mama bear before you play the alley cat.
Yeah.
Just for future reference.
Well, we were going to do a BG's episode next week, but now we don't need to.
The tips that I learn as I play the mode. Don't do what BottGots did.
Amazing.
Well, if anyone's looking for coaching, BottGots is available.
I got the hot BG tips.
Yes. All right.
Get more Caligos early and buff your minions correctly.
We're not going to get better than that, and we're 40 minutes into the show, so why don't you just jump right into news? Let's go.
Do we not have a soundboard? Do we have a soundboard?
Let's see if you can hear this.
Let's
see if you can hear
dangerous?
Gadgets and Gazette
Yes, you can hear
always
it.
gets the scoop.
All right. We're in news. We made it. So we actually got quite a few announcements for this week. The Lunar New Year is about to be upon us.
Oh.
We're not going to be receiving these again on the 9th, but kind of a bit of a mishap, but should be fixed by now. I don't think it's a huge deal, just a bit of a little miss there. And then these 3 Kingdoms heroes, I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but man, these portraits look good.
They do.
These portraits look so good. I'm so glad, like, there's so many. They've definitely ramped up the amount of alternate art type, cosmetic things that you can be doing in Hearthstone, which I'm pretty happy about, because while I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be buying all of it, the fact that it's accessible to people and people can get these things and the artwork is kind of amazing, I think is just being able to further diversify the way you enjoy Hearthstone or the way you present yourself in Hearthstone, I think is just a positive thing overall. And we will talk about something in the Iksar AMA section, which I found to also be pretty neat about customization.
I just want alternate art for certain cards. Like, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, there's definitely more space for them to explore cosmetics. I think there's a lot of space for it. We've talked about this before. But this is $25 for portraits, and I am instantly buying them the second this comes out. All of them, and I am not thinking about it.
I really only want the Valera. But
Same.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
Guan
all
Yu
good.
Uther looks pretty rad, and if I'm gonna spend $20 for 2, I might as well spend 25 for 4. Even though I did just buy a portrait, and it is a priest portrait, but SI7 Anduin is rogue priest. That doesn't count. That's a rogue portrait. He's got he's got a mask and he's got daggers, and it's like,
it still makes no sense to me. I don't understand.
Where is Eve?
I want it, but
Where is
I want
Lore
it for-
Master Eve?
I want the Anduin for 5 without the packs. I don't want priest packs.
Yeah, I
just
didn't
want the
want
Anduin.
or need the packs. But I have more priest cards now. But yes, his emote. Sherp is saying this in the chat. He says he's so BMy on the WoW. It's like, wow. Seriously, wow. It's so antagonistic. Love it. Big fan.
Oh, I might have to do it.
Yeah, but I don't use emotes, and I'm against using emotes. So even though that's an amazing emote to get, I don't know, that it makes me torn.
I do use them with friends. Like when I run into someone that I know, I don't squelch and I will use emotes, but only then.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable. I don't mind like I actually meant to emote hat, but then I felt bad about it when we played our little friendly game, so I didn't emote him, but I should have.
I emote more when I'm playing Suranoyo because I don't know if my opponent understands what my emotes are, and so I'm just doing them. You could even pick them randomly, unless they really know the emotes.
It's yeah, it's hard to distinguish on that one. But this 3 Kingdoms bundle probably means I'm going to get the bundle and then I'm going to rewatch Hero, which is a fun movie and makes, I don't know, I'm just reminded of it.
Or replay Fire Emblem.
Or replay Fire Emblem. Yeah.
And I'm
Which
gonna
one, though?
Three
rewatch
Kingdoms.
season 1 of Heroes, which was a great TV show.
Unrelated.
That has nothing to do with it.
Nope.
Was a good.
Nope,
Season
it was
one.
an amazing TV show, and you reminded me of it, so I
We've
wanna
gone off
rewatch
the
it.
rails. Let's keep going.
Season 1
Let's
only.
go. Let's keep going.
SI7 Anduin bundle available till Monday. For some reason, if you want Anduin to look like a rogue, you can get it. You get 5 packs. It's yeah, available till Monday. We also have a bit of news about Blizzconline. Well, we have like a pre-show welcome that had a few clips in there. Not necessarily spoilery clips, but like hinting at things potentially. Brian Kibler gets to interview Ben Lee. That'll be a fun little intro to the new set, I'm sure. And then we see Liv Breeden and Joe Killoyne. That's how I'm gonna say it. In some adventuring gear, which is interesting. I was actually wondering if they just showed like a clip from like Journey to Ungoro that I just don't remember, but it's clearly from the from what's going to be on the BlizzCon reveal for whatever the new set, but it seems to be clearly hinting at maybe League of Explorers involvement potentially.
But we just had
But
that
who
with Year of the
knows?
Dragon. So I wonder
Yeah.
if that'll be more of that. Regis Kilbin on Twitter was actually saying it looks like Thousand Needles, which is kind of like a Baron's area in Classic WoW. And so I wonder if this will be a different kind of explorer thing. I don't think it's going to be Return to Ungoro. Ungoro didn't look like this. It was a lot more green.
I'd be down. I would be definitely down.
I mean,
for
yeah, I'm not
Return to
upset about it.
Ungoro, but yeah, definitely more oranges and reds instead of greens and dark greens, which would be more Journey to Ungoro. So it's interesting. Just kind of almost like a little teaser for BlizzConline, and there's some bundles, which, if I'm being honest, is like, it's not upsetting, but it's like kind of disappointing when you think about the other games get kind of these special things related to BlizzCon, and Hearthstone is like, hey, here's some card packs. It's like, well, I can already get those. It doesn't feel special. It's not like we're getting all these alternate portraits. It'd be cool to have like a BlizzCon portrait. That would make me really hyped about buying the Celebration collection, instead of just some more packs. And thankfully, the World of Warcraft pet doesn't vibe with me, so I don't feel too compelled to get this pack. But I don't know.
With Hearthstone as my main game and already having all of MDF cards, kind of no point. Unless I really wanted to make golden things, which I don't. So, yeah, it's kind of sad. This feels like it would be a great occasion for, special art or something.
Well, these are, if you were going to BlizzCon, these would be included, or something like this would be included, but they're giving away BlizzCon, so they're just taking the goodies and like letting you buy all of them. But BlizzCon is free. I'll just do the BlizzCon.
Yeah, exactly.
What do we get in the past? Like do we get a card back usually? But it's if you pre-ordered, or if you went to BlizzCon, I don't remember, what did we get last year, like in game for being
We
at
got
BlizzCon?
a card. It was a legendary
the golden whatever.
the one that got nerfed, right?
Kael'thas.
The one you play 3 cards.
No, not
Third
Kael'thas.
one's
Kael'thas
free.
was Ashes. No, it was DoD. It was a golden DoD card.
Oh.
Sathravar. It was Sathravar.
Sathravar, that's the one.
Yeah. They've never really been great at BlizzCon stuff for Hearthstone players because they usually don't have. You can't really make an exclusive goodie because then people get really all bent out of shape over it. Just because the Hearthstone community is so different from WoW and Overwatch or whatever. But yeah, we've gotten
I think you could make, like, honestly, I think you can make a Hearthstone hero like a BlizzCon hero portrait that's kind of like the bear that they have, the BlizzCon bear that they have for World of Warcraft, where it's like very clearly BlizzCon themed, where it's like very obvious that it's BlizzCon, because then, to me at least, it feels less bad to have something like that, because then I'm like, oh, well, that's like very clearly targeted. It's not just some cool portrait that I'm missing out on. It's like specifically BlizzCon, so I don't feel the need as much as if it was just like kind of just an awesome portrait. But I might have a different opinion than most other people.
Well, you think about how many pets and mounts are there in WoW. There are so many. In Hearthstone, the number of portraits, like, if they did a class-specific portrait, you're talking about competing against 4 other options. There are just so many less than there have been in the, what is it? It's almost 20 years of WoW. There are so many pets and mounts that, like, one is not going to make a difference.
All right, how many pets do you think are currently in World of Warcraft?
400.
Real quick.
400.
Edelweiss?
Wow, I have no idea. Twice that? 800?
More than twice that. 1,417 different pets in World of Warcraft.
Sweet baby Moses.
That's a lot. Anyway.
So, like, so compared to 4 shaman portraits, or 5, if you add a 6th shaman portrait, that's a huge deal, and that's the class with the most. If you add 1 more pet, drop in the bucket. Yeah, not quite the same. Anyways, yes, let's keep going. I'm not buying this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but maybe, I mean, with all the new hero portraits that they're coming out with, maybe they'll have that idea for a future year, because it seems like kind of more of a, like, we've always kind of had portraits, but it doesn't feel as so in the spotlight as since they've done the rewards track thing and kind of changed how they approach that stuff. So maybe in the future. And as every week, we bring up the Iksar AMA. There's a whole bunch of interesting little juicy tidbits in here. From the AMA, I was able to read quite a bit more of it this time, which is great. I actually like reading his responses. Like, the recap is nice to get an idea what was going on, but his responses, I think, really clearly, I can hear it in his voice, I think. And I really like that. So we got some spoilers as of cards for the next set. next set we will not be getting Barnes, and we will not be getting Naga Sea Witch back for standard, thankfully.
And this is for classic and basic, just to be clear.
Right. Yeah. So for the classic rework, all we get is some new cards, some old cards, some rebalanced cards, and no Barnes or Sea Witch. So sounds good so far.
Yep.
I like those that descriptor for it. And then I kind of alluded to this earlier, but craftable hero portraits. I have no idea what that means. Do either of you have like what? Craftable?
So
That
Dean is saying if you have excess currency sitting on your account, that usually means either you're afraid of missing out on something or you don't have anything compelling that you feel like you need or want to buy. And that makes him sad, that he wants you to want to spend your currency and feel like you're getting something for it. So they are working on looking at craftable hero portraits. Some kind of exclusivity window. It's to be determined for now. It's all brainstorming, but card backs and portraits, if you could make those for dust, it rewards the invested player and gives an opportunity to spend currency. So, not confirmed, not guaranteed, but if they do that, they can sure make a lot more of these things, and they can make some exclusive, and they can make some available.
Does that mean I can like buy a hero portrait and then buy like the hat and then put the hat in the hero portrait that I got?
No, like you
No.
spend your dust to make a hero portrait that you don't have.
it means like this hero
Dust
portrait
system
has been out
craftable.
long enough that it's now
Uh,
available through dust instead of.
That makes a lot more sense than what I was
Yeah,
thinking. Because what I was thinking makes no sense at all.
You were thinking like Minecraftable? Where you just
I don't know, man. I was thinking you get like customizable, like you get to go in and you get to customize your hero portrait and make it all unique and different. Could like
Bot swapped craftable with customizable. That's what.
like
Bot
just
did.
imagine if you gave a cowboy hat to Deathstalker Rexar or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, just imagine if you
even-
gave a
maybe-
pirate hat to Valera.
I mean, maybe give a pirate hat to Garrosh. Now we're talking.
For Pirate Warrior.
Makes a lot more sense.
And then you
But
wear the pirate Garrosh, and then you play
Anyway.
ETC Warrior or something.
craftable hero portraits. All right, that makes a lot more sense. Probably works out a lot better than my idea. But hey, if you want to take my idea, Hearthstone team, it's an idea.
It's that it is.
UI designers, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We don't have a firm release date for the next set, but early predictions are March sometime, and it is apparently very difficult to design a set from home, according to the team. What a surprise.
Well, just to clarify that, this is something that I think is relatively new. Iksar is saying they'll release the expansion when it's done, and if it's done in late March, it'll be late March, but it may slip to April, and they don't have a firm date internally yet. That's a new thing. Like, they're not saying that they won't tell us the date, they're saying that they don't have a date yet, because work from home has been hard. That's
I
interesting.
wonder, do you think that it's a new thing, or do you think that it is now a transparent thing that has been the case, but they have mostly met their marks before? And
I think it's a new thing.
Okay.
It might have been a
Yeah.
week or two here, but they moved it earlier from December to November, and I would not be surprised if the initial reception of Dark Moon Fair combined with the achievement system thing and progression and all that caused them to say, hey, maybe we do these things when they're done and not when we wish they were done. Because Duels was not done, and the achievement system was not done. We'll talk about that in a second. I would be very surprised if that did not have some kind of impact, though it could have been a week or two here or there, like in the past. but they didn't delay Ashes, and they didn't come up with that hero power till December, and that was a new class. And they didn't delay Darkmoon Fair, and they had a whole bunch of issues with Darkmoon Fair.
I could also totally see how it would be challenging to adjust a card design process from in person, where you're all just, you know, shooting ideas on a whiteboard or something. I don't know if it's actually quite like that, but and you know, you run something over to the balance team on next room or something. Whereas now with online, you kind of have to schedule things out pretty precisely. It can be actually somewhat difficult to be flexible because you want like meetings at set times and things. So it means that you have to be a lot more structured and a lot less flexible, I feel like. So I could see that being challenging.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenging time, but I'm more glad that they're willing to postpone it to make sure it's done.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there is another game that I play a lot right now that has
Cyberpunk?
Well, that's not one that I've played, but in Path of Exile, they are somewhat notorious for releasing a game before it was ready to be released, and though that first week is pretty unpleasant in some ways. And this last league, the one that I've been playing the crap out of and have been enjoying the crap out of, got pushed back a month because of Cyberpunk, and it has been amazing. And I don't know how much of that has to do with the actual league and how much it has to do with the postponement, but because there's still a bit of crashing issues, but it's been so good that I kind of have overlooked that. So if it gets delayed a couple weeks and it makes the launch smooth and everything we've come to know about Hearthstone releases, because while I know the servers can get a bit overloaded, for the most part, haven't ever heard of major crashing issues or anything like that with most Blizzard titles. So yeah, whenever it's done, we'll get it, and I'm excited to see what the new cards are. And last thing for my section for the AMA is that AMAs may move to bi-weekly, and I'm very happy about this because I am tired for Iksar. Holy cow! Every week I don't fully pay attention, and I'm just tired for him. The AMAs have to be so much work, and it's a lot of information probably gets repeated too, because you know, every week is just, there's only so much stuff that happens from week to week. And yeah, I think moving to bi-weekly, or even if we got once a month, honestly, I wouldn't be upset about it. But bi-weekly sounds like a good place to start, and then see how it feels from there. But yeah, man, take a break. Holy cow. An AMA a week is aggressive.
I mean, he's doing an hour a week. Like, I think that I asked him this question. The question I asked him this week was, how are the AMAs going? And he said that he would have done them earlier if his position allowed for it, but now he's over so many people that it's a much broader look. And also that he feels like he's repeating himself a lot on a weekly basis, so he is looking to move to bi-weekly, specifically to make sure that people feel like if they pay attention, they learn something new every week, as opposed to a lot of the similar questions being asked. He also gave pretty extensive answers about the rewards track, and I want to read these word for word because I think it's pretty important. So he issued a 7-tweet response that I'm going to read entirely in full, won't change a word. I was pretty surprised by the initial outpouring of distaste for the system. Even in its launched form, I think most players would find they were earning more. It just wasn't 100% of all theoretical cases, and it was a minor amount more. I learned that clarity matters a lot when it comes to rewards, especially if players have felt burned by the system in the past. Unless it's easy for someone with limited understanding to know that your new system is better, they probably won't see it that way. Thinking that we were just going to hold back a bunch of rewards to give away later in events or through other fashions, gave us flexibility to learn about how people engaged, but I think we were blindsided about how much that flexibility was going to cost us. As the person responsible for a lot of that decision making, it's mostly on me. It's a shame because I think that players and dev in this case were mostly aligned on what felt like a rewarding amount of stuff. So some issues in execution, some in communication. If I could redo from scratch, I'm not 100% sure doing experience for playing was the right call. Makes the system much more complicated with questionable upside. We're in a reasonable place now, though, still going to improve in next expansion. You can be sure it's going to be extra clear that whatever changes we make are positive with little to no room for misinterpretation. It sounds a lot like I'm blaming players for not getting it, but it really is on us. Players shouldn't have to break out their Excel sheets to understand something. It should just be clear right away. Good set of answers. I think he gets it, and speaks as though he gets it. And also he noted there is an extremely high chance of wild changes in the next year. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I wonder how, because they changed the rewards track, how much less of the kind of like bonus XP type things that they had planned happen, because unless I'm missing something, we haven't really had anything, right?
we had Wintervale.
What did we get? We just got like a couple extra packs. It seemed
Packs and emotes. Anytime they change your emotes, they would have given you double XP. You would have gotten double XP or quest with XP. And so they felt more underwhelming because the bonus thing they were going to give us just got rolled into the track.
Right.
We were supposed to like theoretically just rocket through the levels and during those events and like constantly be playing like, yeah, we're moving so much faster. And instead it's just we get some emotes and sometimes some pack quests.
Yeah, this was one of the complaints when they made the change to it to roll in that bonus XP. But some people were like, no, give us like the XP generally and bonus XP for the event. But yeah, I think the advantage of rolling it in is that then people who maybe aren't able for whatever reasons to play as much during those events get to have the increased XP generally. But I think that's part of why Dean was saying people might have been surprised how much they would have gotten with the initial system, but it wasn't clear, is because of things like bonus XP events.
Yep. And it's something that they might come back to in the future, because I do think events, like there was the Taverns of Time event where like the quest had 50 dust attached to them, and 50 dust is like not a huge deal, but it was a little extra something. Sure. Like, just a little extra something. The experience would have been, I think, more substantial, but I'm still much happier they moved it into the regular system. Like, it feels... I am at level 124 now. Like, it's not hard at all to move very quickly through the system, and it feels like I have way more gold.
Yeah, I'm at like 147 or something, and I have way more gold than I have ever had in an expansion, and that's after wasting a bunch of it on heroic brawls. Or heroic duels, sorry.
And as is tradition, still have no idea what level I am, no idea how much gold I have. Not something I pay attention to. But definitely have been missing a quest here or there, so I will definitely be behind the two of you. And then the last note here we have is the earnings call for Activision Blizzard, and things are going well. Who would have thunk when people are supposed to be staying home, the video game companies are doing well.
Also, when they release a new WoW expansion, WoW does well.
Well, when they release a good WoW expansion, WoW does well.
BFA sold well, it just didn't sustain well.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the new expansion is still doing quite well, and it shows. And probably the more surprising thing to me, which should probably not be surprising, is that Call of Duty is their big breadwinner. And I saw a couple notes or comments from people that they don't want Call of Duty in their Blizzard launcher for some reason, and it's like, well, it's doing really well. So while it's not the game that I want to play, it doesn't bother me having it in the launcher. I just won't click it.
I think that's because it's Activision, and people are like, "This is my Blizzard launcher. Keep Activision out of my Blizzard launcher." But you know, hate to break it to you, Activision owns Blizzard. So
yeah, same thing. So yeah, not a whole big mention about Hearthstone, but Blizzard doing well probably means Hearthstone's doing just fine. So that's mostly it what we had for the news. And we have qualifiers back, which means we have tournament sections again with content in them. So Hat, why don't you take it away?
It's the grand tournament!
Yay, tournaments! Yay, stats! Yay, stuff. So, first of all, want to give a shout out to Bemi, who we're hoping to have on the show next week. They have put together a cool circuit of sorts, the Quest Cup. And so there's Latin America and North America and Europe and the Middle East and Asia. There are a bunch of different regional starts. I'm going to link the Quest Cup guide in the show notes. Go check them out on battlefy.com/House Rivalries. Event is open, and it's a grassroots tournament scene with a prize pool. So really cool stuff. We're going to have them on next week to talk about it. Also, shoutouts to the folks over at No Pros Here. Disco wrote up an article of this week in competitive Hearthstone. There's a list of qualifier stats. There's a list of other events that have gone on. Coverage of Battle Riff and community gaming and end of month top ladder results and meta reports and streams. There's so much stuff here. There's so much stuff. So definitely go and check that out as well. But we're just going to talk about qualifiers in the ladder. So, qualifier stats provided by Off Curve. Check it out. Wicked good friend of the show has a great website where you can find this stuff out. So, if you want to win a qualifier, play Warrior. Which Warrior? I don't know. Whatever one you want. Enrage seems good. Bomb Warrior seems good. Big Warrior seems good. Silas OTK is the best one so far in terms of win rate, which is really just Control Warrior with Silas and Dash Tongue. But you don't win with Silas very much. That doesn't happen all that often. It's just something you can do. But really you win by not dying, and then your opponent concedes. Most of the time. But you have an option of hitting them in the head for 30 if you want to. The second most popular class is Priest. Yep, it's a control meta. A mix of Highlander, Control, and Resurrect. Yep. Greetings, fellow humans. Still around for a little while. As far as Demon Hunters, the most popular deck among the winner, and the third most popular class, is OTK Demon Hunter. Strange meta, but Control and Combo are where we're at. By win rate overall, Silas, Warrior, World Kick and Secret Rogue, Libram and Ramp Paladin, Control and Highlander Priest are all way up there. The worst deck? Do not play Mozaki Mage. Don't do it. Don't play Mozaki Mage. Below a 40% win rate. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just, no. Okay. Got that out of our system. Most popular lineup is Token Druid, Stealth Rogue, and Enrage War. Second most popular, there's Aggro Demon Hunter over the Enrage War. Both are okay. The highest win rate for a lineup over 50 players, Libram Paladin, Control Priest, Silas Warrior. Soul Demon Hunter, Secret Rogue, and Enrage Warrior did well too. The worst lineup with a decent sample size was Pure Paladin, Stealth Rogue, and Zoo. Under 40% win rate. Over 50 players, Token Druid, Face Hunter, Stealth Rogue, 40% win rate. Don't run either of these either. Too much Warrior, too much Control, too much Priest. Can't really go Smork. It's not going to work all that well. There were a few winners here and there with aggressive lineups, but it was the exception rather than the rule. Usually some kind of value-based rogue did better. Some Token Druids did alright, but they usually were the slower ones. It just... Against Control, and especially against the volume of Priest and Warrior out there, Pure Paladin is just not the place to be. It's doing okay, but the other decks are squarely in the crosshairs right now. There are more qualifiers going. Well, right now, I don't think any have finished yet, but we can take a little look. Take a quick peek. for our live look into the furthest along qualifier, which I should have definitely had pulled up before this. Yep. There's one person qualified for the 6th round. The furthest along we have is ZLSJS, who is playing in Rage War. Looks like Combo Rogue with Flick and OTK Demon Hunter. Interesting. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see the direction the meta goes. But as far as the ladder, the best deck on the ladder is Vicious Syndicate is referring to as Cheese Paladin. Because it's cheesy.
Call it Barnes.
Sounds tasty.
Well, it's more like Spiteful Paladin, except your Spitefuls cost 4. That's really the way to think of it. You have 2 Spitefuls, they both cost 4. And at Legend, the top decks behind Cheese Paladin are Token Druid, Zoo Warlock, Roll Kick Rogue. Pure Paladin's actually doing okay. And in Rage War, at top 1K Legend, the number 5 deck in the format is Secret Mage.
Can we call it Murloc and Cheese Paladin?
We called it Fish and Cheese Paladin over at VS, so yes. I like where your head's at. So anyways, format's still developing, and there's quite a few decks. There were 15 Tier 1 decks at Legend this week. That field will narrow. But there's a lot of options right now. But Paladin good, Druid good, other stuff still good. Alright, and we're going to take this show into Decksplanations, where it's time for a favorite game. To look back and say, did we get it, or did we goof it? Toxic Adam Flick hits Treants. So let's go to got it, or goofed it.
So I always struggle a little bit with this segment because I just don't remember what I said about cards, and also certain ones I feel like were obvious to a lot of people. So I feel funny talking about those. But yeah, I mean we'll start right off with our GOTS. Bot, why don't you kick us off with a few of yours?
Let's start with some BottGots.
BottGots.
That's the tagline.
So the first one I put on here was Ring Toss. I thought this card was going to be pretty good, and I think it's good in the decks that it's good in, but I don't know that those decks are good. Now that I think about it, I mean, it slotted into Highlander Mage. It was good. It was a powerful card. I felt really good every time I played it, and I think it definitely deserves a spot. We'll see what happens. It doesn't really fit into the good mage decks now because they're trying to play a lot of cheap spells, and you don't really want to play cards that cost 5 or more. So I think this card is good, and it proved that it was good, but it just doesn't have a home for it. So it might belong in a different section in our GOTS and Goofs, but still think it's worth including in here because I don't know that people really saw this as being a good card.
Yeah, I've seen it most in duels because you corrupt it with Cthulhu spells, and Cthulhu is played in a lot of duels decks. So
I mean, it's just like a strong card if you can corrupt it, and it's an okay card if you can't. But overall, I like the card. Are we gonna go one at a time, or are we gonna go through all of our
Jam your GOTS.
what we wrote down?
Jam
All
your
right. Palm reading. Palm read. This card's nuts.
Card's great. Amazing.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why Priest is powerful. Yeah, just giving a Thoros on tick to the spells in your hand, and Priest has good spells, and you also get it also replaces itself. It's hard to go wrong with a card like this. I think it's proven itself. It goes in a lot of different variants of Priest, and I think you should just play this card because it's very good. And then good old Foxy Fraud. While we may not see it infinitely right now, I think it proved its worth in the time that it was dominating standard, and yeah, it's just a real solid card. It does a lot of things that you want to do when you're playing good combo cards in your rogue deck, like Evil Miscreant and Swindle. That's just was a really solid card, and I like the card a lot. So unfortunate
Hat.
that Stealth Rogue is not does not really gel with this card, but it's good.
Hat dodged a goofed on that card because we managed to convince him.
I was excited, and then I was less excited, and then I
Ooh.
was more excited, and it's really strong. I underestimated it even the first time I saw it, but then I was worried that it just like the card you were playing already was actually the one you wanted to play, the combo card. But being the coin going first is so huge. That is the important part, that a 0 mana combo activator that is actually a relevant body when you're pressuring matters a ton. And discounts to specific card types that aren't just next spell are also super valuable. So being able to go Foxy Passage and cast the Swindle you get off of it for free is really, really strong. Though there have been a few times where I've tried to go Foxy Nitro, and then Nitro's not a combo card. It feels like a combo card. It's not a combo card. Like, Foxy corrupts it, but, like...
It combos it-ish? No, not really.
It doesn't discount it. And it's like, oh yeah, because that card just does what it says on the box once you play something that costs 2 or more.
Turns out every card that costs 2 or more is a combo with Nitro Boost Poison.
Yes.
Yeah, and totally could have put it on mine as well, but Nitro Boost Poison, one of your Gots hat. What else do you have here?
All right, so there are a couple cards that I was high on, and this is not just DMR, this is not just races, this is also the entire fair. I was pretty high on Arbor Up. My exact quote was that I wasn't sure if this had a deck yet, but 2 4/3s and a Bloodlust seemed really strong. Turns out that was correct. That was a true statement. Yeah, the exact quote. I actually think this card is crazy powerful, even though it doesn't have a deck right now. It's Bloodlust with 2 4/3s. It made a deck. I gave it a build around score, and then
It looks like a choose one card, doesn't it?
yes,
It looks like it's either two twos or give your minions +2/+1, and then it got played against me today, and I was like, oh yeah, okay,
it does
makes
both.
a lot more sense.
Yep.
It feels a little, I don't know, Force Roar-y. Not exactly, but it has that same feel of like it's a board you have to deal with on its own, and then if they have anything in play, it's just so much scarier.
And also with Solar Eclipse, it's completely insane. I don't really know. I don't really remember the last time Druid got a card that like made a board and buffed a board. But this one's really good. It's really, really, really strong. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up costing 6 or +1/+1. I don't think it needs a nerf, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got a little tweak just because the card does so much stuff. Also, I technically gave myself a got it on Nitro Boost Poison, but I'm not sure I got it because I gave it a needs a nerf, and so they haven't nerfed it yet. But this card's like really good, and Cutting Class is in standard with it the whole time, and this card is so good it's made Cutting Class make the cut in Stealth Rogue, and that's unusual. So, feel confident in my writing in that one. Also, Cage Match Custodian. I was pretty high on that card. I was like, hey, a 2-drop that gets you the thing you want. We're going to play that. Is. Like, yeah. I would say that, Jay, correct. That's what I would say. And then finally, a card that I was low on that other people may have been high on. It may, in fact, be in a goof list in this very show. Tenwu, also known as Step Raptor. Shadow Step costs -2. Tenwu plus the minion costs 3. 3 is more than -2. So, the third Shadow Step that is potentially just bad, or is potentially just a Youthful Brewmaster, not really good enough. I could see a world in which we play it post-rotation where we need to, or when Shadow Step rotates out. But as of right now, it is a Youthful Brewmaster. So, yeah, feel good about those. What about you, Advice? What were your BottGots.
So for me, it was Hysteria. I looked at this card and I remembered Mass Hysteria, and I was like, this is cheaper and does a different thing, has more uses. Obviously, a pretty broken use that got taken advantage of right away and then gotten rid of. That was a pretty fast nerf. And then Imprisoned Phoenix, it's so dangerous, right? The fact that you can plan out your spell damage turn. In Mage with Cram Session, obviously crazy powerful because you get to draw 3 off of the Cram Session, but then also in both Mage and Shaman, in terms of you do a little bit of planning, like, okay, I know I want to build up to a big burn turn. For Shaman, I never play it on 2, right? Because that's not usually where you want to play your burn. You want to play your burn at the end of the game. So you run it out a couple turns before you know you're going to be playing your lethal damage burst. And it's crazy insane. Also with Rast Frost Whisper. Rast for 3 is like very, very doable a lot of the time with Phoenix. Il'gynoth, I think Hat, you and I both talked about this as like, yeah, I mean the combo's good, but also just put this with Eldrachi Warblades and it's a ton of damage. And sure enough, we have, this Fel Demon Hunter and even the aggro Demon Hunters, since Glory made a list with Eldrachi Warblades and Il'gynoth. That's been a thing because sometimes you just have 10 attack with Eldrachi Warblades and that's 20 damage. So, and Red Scale Dragon Tamer. I didn't honestly think that this would become a thing people were doing with the Dragon Tamer Nosdormu. I was doing it for a bit, and then it got pushed over the edge with Crab Rider. I mostly just thought it would be good in Murloc Paladin with the dragon that gives all your Murlocs Divine Shield. Just having card draw in a Murloc deck is nice, and yeah, adds a layer of consistency. It's pretty sweet. So
Yeah, I said that Il'gynoth was a scary card, and still scary. Card does some pretty broken stuff sometimes, and not super happy about it. But then also like Imprisoned Phoenix, that card is pretty legit, especially when you get to Cram Session with it. It's get to do some. It's strong. Having spell damage for essentially no mana at the start of a turn is very powerful. So,
and Dormant has been slept on like ever since it was announced, because having something that you can't stop as a player is really, really, or having something that your opponent can't stop is really powerful. It's when if I have an imprisoned minion, if I have a Felmaw and my opponent wants to not take damage from the Felmaw, they can play stuff out, but they can't remove the Felmaw. They can't play a removal spell on it or whatever. It's guaranteed it's going to attack. When it comes with Imprisoned Phoenix, there is going to be a turn where your opponent gets 2 spell damage, and they get to keep that, and they don't have to spend mana on it, and you cannot do anything about it. There is no way to interact with it. And that's been historically a powerful part of Dormant cards, and also a reason why Maiev kind of sucks, because giving your opponent a guaranteed threat they get to have that you can't interact with is not good. So, yeah, it'll be a part of Mage going forward. I'm not as sure about Shaman, but Cram Session is too good. Like, just Phoenix and Cram Session is enough.
I'm actually wondering how much worse. I feel like Imprison might have been significantly worse maybe like 2 or 3 years ago in Hearthstone, back when I think essentially before Rush was printed, or Rush became on minions, because I think that there's been a significant shift where we used to talk a lot about initiative and a lot about being on board and like, pushing pushing for lethal or pushing damage and stuff. And with the addition of Rush, it feels like that's kind of taken a step back in a sense, where it feels a little bit easier to catch up. And while maybe it doesn't interact super, maybe Rush isn't exactly like the thing everybody's talking about, but the whole idea of, you know, really pushing tempo and pushing your initiative in the game, I think has taken a definite step back from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But that's just a theory I kind of thought of right now.
Rush is a symptom. The design of Hearthstone back in the old days, if you lost board, you lost the game. And a lot of it was fighting back, but like you had to fight back with, you think about Dragon Priest. If Dragon Priest lost the board, it was taking a ton of damage. Your Draconid operative didn't have taunt, it wasn't going to get in the way. So you played a Dragonfire potion and hoped you weren't dead from hand, but they got to develop the turn you Dragonfire potion or whatever. Since then, the design of the game has clearly gone towards figuring out how to win the board back in multiple classes. And this includes Rush, but it also includes Risky Skipper. It also includes better removal. Mass Hysteria, for an example. Or now like actual Hysteria cards like Dark Skies. Just better removal to make it so that if you don't lose the board, you don't lose the game. But that is transformed into, because that's such a powerful thing, unless you can do that, you're not a real deck anymore. So by pushing the possibility of multiple classes being able to survive while behind on board, now that's the cost of entry to being a good standard deck, is that either your board has to be so resilient that people can't get rid of it somehow, or you have to be good at clearing boards and playing from behind. And so the decks that try and play fair, the decks that try and get on board, stay on board, you have to be like Zoo where your numbers are enormous. And even then, there are some matchups like you're against a Prize Plunder or Shadow Step and just like, oh, well, I don't have a board anymore, and they do. Or, Skipper Bearov or whatever. And Zoo still has to play double Broomstick just to be able to fight back when they're behind. So, Dormant in the olden days, you would have been punished more for playing it on a turn where your opponent had developed. But if you got to play it while you were ahead or at parity, then yes, you would be rewarded more for it. But I don't think it's just Rush. It's more that the game is more fun when you have more turns that you can do something. And the olden days when you were behind on board and then you're like, well, I can play this minion, but they just trade into it for free and develop something else and I can never get back in the board again, I might as well concede. Those were less fun and less dynamic. And because it's more dynamic, Dormant is worse, and just the kind of decks that get to come to play are a little different.
Yeah. Well, moving on from the discussion, I think we're just gonna take a bit of a snake pattern here. So I'll do my Goofed, then we'll go to Hat, then Bot.
Yes, I like you starting with this.
One, yeah, I'm starting with Tenwu, which Hat got. I guess I was thinking it would go in some kind of Highlander rogue, or that. Honestly, that rogues would be playing, some cards that cost more than 3 mana, which they're not, except for Jandis. So, if you're never actually getting the discount down to 1 mana from whatever you want to hit with Tenwu, then it's not very good. Because, what makes Shadow Step good is the discount. What would make Tenwu have use is some kind of discount. And we don't really have time or really a need to play anything that would be significantly discounted by Tenwu. So, not so great on that one.
Do you remember that Rogue has a Galakron? Because I forgot.
They did nerf it.
Remember when that was the best in the game?
Remember when it used to draw you 4 0-mana cards? If that was still around, that'd still be really good. But probably. They did.
Tenwu would be much better in a deck like that, but we don't have decks like that anymore. We have, we have cards that cost 3 or less and Jandis decks.
Yeah, because I totally wanted Galakron Rogue with unnerved Galakron to have Foxy Swindle. That's definitely what I wanted.
Yeah, but then I've got ETC here, who I thought the card would be decent, like with some kind of Rush Warrior or something. I didn't think this combo deck would be real. and it turns out the combo deck is the only thing real about ETC. It's a much better combo than I had realized.
But like,
The fact that it even
is-
slots into Enrage Warrior.
is this just a continued miss on Broomstick? Is this just more
I
of
think
Broomstick
so.
mattering?
I think that's true. Yeah, Broomstick and Penflinger, right? Because at least in the more Broomstick than Penflinger, because the Enrage Warriors don't run the Penflinger. But yeah, it's kind of nuts that Broomstick just like enables this whole combo, and they're never gonna be in at separate times. So that combo will be around for as long as Warrior has enough card draw to do it.
Skullomance is the best set for neutral 1-drops of all time. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, that seems right.
Penflinger, Broomstick, Intrepid Initiate, Tour Guide.
I would like to raise you the original classic set.
Okay. The
Abusive Sergeant, Leper Gnome.
Sure.
best set
but those
for-
all got
yeah.
nerfed.
Skullomance is close, and that says a lot. But yeah, ETC is like, we don't have there's never a point where we just run out ETC on 2 and just like, wow, this is great. But like, with Broomstick, people just die. And this might be just more Broomstick, this might be more Bloodsworn, because when Bloodsworn rotates also, it's probably just bad again. But for now, it's good.
And then another miss of mine was Ringmaster's Baton. Maybe that should be in the wait and see column, but I don't know. I want it to work, but we're running cash in like every warrior right now, and you don't want to cash into Baton because Baton was supposed to be your 2-drop. So cash works best with 3-cost weapons. That's why cash into Ankar is so amazing. Cash into Livewire Lance was great. But cash, unless you're going coin cash, Ringmaster's Baton isn't quite what you want to be doing, because you want to play the thing that you've buffed on 3 with +2/+2. And yeah, I've seen a few, there's Ike's Pirate Warrior that has a Menagerie sub-theme. Some other people have done some sort of Menagerie Warriors, but they don't run Ringmaster's Baton, they just run Watley. I'm hopeful that maybe later, but for now, it definitely isn't going so great. And then Deck of Lunacy, I had much higher expectations for, just because I thought the 3-mana upgrade would just be so insane. The thing with Cthulhu spells didn't work out because there's actually a lot of misses at 8 mana. You don't want to Guardian Animals as mage. You don't want to play the Yashraj priest spell if you don't have minions in your deck.
Yeah.
Get a 10/10. So
There are a lot of powerful
then-
spells, but there are also a lot of narrow powerful spells.
right,
So, like, they're not all powers of
Jewel of
prayer.
N'Zoth
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And even there was a game where I transformed a 2 into a Righteousness. And a 2-mana Righteousness is great, but again, no minions. Everything getting Divine Shield. For those who don't know, Righteousness is a classic Paladin rare spell that gives all of your minion Divine Shield. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. They added it after they rotated a card, and nobody has ever played that except for in Arena, where it's great.
So I played a lot of Deck of Lunacy when it came out, and it did cheese win me some games, but I feel like it more often gave me situational or just actually unplayable cards that were not going to help me out. I had transformed all of my card draw. So it's really easy to gas out if it doesn't give you something incredibly overpowered on the spot.
Yep. And also, you only have one of them, and you have to hope it goes well.
Well, you can discover it.
Sure. But even then, even when you can discover it now, people hesitate taking it because most of the time you just want the
Oh,
spells
yeah.
that are in your deck.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Deck of Chaos, which I think none of us actually thought would work, but we all wanted it to work.
Oh, I wanted it to work so bad.
4-mana
I didn't
Malagos
I
would
didn't
have been
put it-
so sweet.
I didn't put it as a goof just because I remember being like, this isn't gonna work, but I want it to work.
Yeah, your instincts are correct. My goose so far. So some of these are kind of more in the wait and see category, but Backfire is a card that everyone tried in their Warlock decks for a couple days and then took it out because paying 3 mana to draw cards in Warlock, just like you can't do that, and it deals you damage and you can't do that. You already draw a bunch of cards with your hero power. You can just tap and like get pretty close. Bulk card draw isn't really what the class needs. Taking damage isn't really what Warlock needs more of. Doesn't really work all that well with Dark Glare because you only get 1 mana back, assuming you stuck the Dark Glare the previous turn. You'd rather play anything that costs less. It just isn't a great fit for anybody. And I thought that it might be good for someone somewhere. Not yet. Maybe if when Hand of Gul'dan rotates out, but we got some time before that. But it's Zoo doesn't want to pay 3 mana for this, and slow Warlock doesn't want to spend a card and can't afford the life.
Mana Giant does not exist in Standard. If it did, then... Or Mountain... Did I say Mana Giant? Mountain Giant.
You said Mountain Giant. Oh, yeah, that would have been something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would have been really good with Mountain Giant. Spiked Wheel? I tried this in Enrage Warrior for 3 matches. And holy cow, is this card awful in Enrage Warrior. There will be a point where we might have to play this, and that probably means that Warrior is in deep trouble. It's so tempo negative. It is 5 mana for a War Axe. Because if you're trading with minions, you have to armor up because hitting the minions costs your armor. And if you're not trading with minions, you don't need this card. Because you're certainly not just arming up and doming them. You're not doing that. That's not what this is for. This is for board control, which means you're committing to pressing the button for 2 turns. And also, one of the worst top decks in this game's history. I feel really confident saying that top decking this just feels like a gut punch. It's just not good. It's just not, like... Go ahead.
I think it's really very heavily a Control Warrior card, and Trait Control Warrior just isn't something you can do right now, except, you've got the the one that's closest is the Silas OTK, and it's just outclassed by Taunt Pirate.
Sword Eater.
Right?
Yes.
Sword Eater. Like, being able to play a Spiked Wheel on 1 and then go armor up, hit something, like, I could see that being a powerful control thing, but there's so many weapons going on in Warrior right now that there's no need for it. I could see this going into things down the line, but for now, there's a wealth of weapon options for Warrior, and it's just not needed.
This feels like Imprison Gnarg with Overload 2. And, like, that's not where I want it be at all. I do not want to take a card that's not good enough and then give it Overload to. Because I feel like it's a Gnarg I have to keep paying for. Either that or I top deck and I can't weave it into a turn and do other stuff. Ugh, it's unfortunate. But as far as weapons, that I was also wrong about, I was wrong about Rinling's Rifle in the complete opposite direction. I was like, alright, this card's okay, it's only 4 mana 2/2, how good can it be? Oh boy, howdy. Have you two played with this card? This card is insane. It's so good.
I hate it.
I said this card was good. I said this card was so good. Like, it's just... It was, I think... Didn't I compare it to, I want to say I compared it to the Mage, the 3 mana 2/2, or 4 mana 2/2 that
yeah.
forever.
Yeah, the Keymaster.
Yeah,
Arcane,
this card,
Arcane
just,
Keymaster.
This card
Or
is solid.
Keysmith,
I still don't think it's seen its full potential. I think that this card just gets better when rotation happens. Like, gets a lot better.
It's already good. It's already in every Hunter deck. But Hunter just isn't exciting right now, and it isn't really all that well lined up with the meta, but it was correct to add this card to face Hunter next to Dragonbane with Polkelt. And I was like, how good can a 4 mana 2/2 weapon be? Very, very good. Hunter secrets, when you don't have to pay for them, are great. There are a lot of situational ones that you would never put in your deck, but you want to find. I've gotten so many snipes that have been game winning against Risky Skipper, but I would never play Snipe. But then I just like, the only way I lose this game is if I get skippered. All right. Let's go hit him with a Rindling's rifle. There's my Snipe. I win now. It's one of my favorite Hunter cards in recent memory, and I was super wrong about how good it was. It's really, really great. I don't know if we ever build around this card, but you just put it in every Hunter deck for the foreseeable future, and it makes them better. Yep. And then finally, I was wrong about everything about Menagerie Warrior. Not just the baton, not just Watley. I really thought Tent Trasher would be good enough to make a deck good enough. It's not. It's comparable to Restless Mummy, but we don't play Restless Mummy now either. And I think it's kind of crazy, but I think the Tent Trasher will see some play, but I really thought Baton on 2 into a Tent Trasher curve would get us there. It really has not. That is not the shape the meta has taken. So there may be a world in the future where we're playing 4-mana 5/5 Rushing Dragons. That is not today, my friends. That is not the world we live in.
Warrior has reinvented its like rush minion every time. It went from we were running
Militia Commander, running Militia Commander into Restless Mummy, into Scion of Ruin.
Yep, which got nerfed.
It did, but Militia rotated out, and neither Restless Mummy or Scion are anywhere near good enough to see play right now. The only what rush minions are Warrior playing? It's actually just
Blood Boil Brute was the next one, right?
Yes,
Blood Boil Brute took over.
Yeah. Then... what did they say? Costs 1 less is a good sentence.
Yeah. Yep.
7 mana minions that cost 1 less for X reason. It's good. All of them. All of them have been good.
Yes.
7 mana minions. I'm just gonna, every time a new set gets spoiled, just look for 7 mana minions. If it gets discounted in any way, that card's probably gonna be broken. Because basically all of them have been good.
Yep.
Yeah, Umbral Owl.
Corridor Creeper. The original.
Mogu Flesh Shaper seems like a good card.
Mogu Flesh Shaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason why I was high on Tent Trasher. Because the 5/5 they said cost 1 less. But not yet. Maybe soon. Alright, BottGots. Give us your BottGots.
So I want to second basically all of Edelweiss's options for this one. Because I pretty much agreed with her ratings and the fact that we goofed all of them. Because all these cards... performed differently than expected, but definitely goofed this card called Dancing Cobra that I have not seen once. It card looked sweet. It is a 1/5 for 2, which has traditionally been good stats, and you don't want to be playing you don't want to be playing minions with 1 attack power in Hunter because there's just way better stuff to do in all of Hunter. And beasts are just not really a thing.
The fresh scent deck has not happened.
Yes, no fresh scent Dancing Cobras. But also Prize Plunderer. I want to say we all missed this card because I thought it was good, and it's probably one of, if not the best rogue card in Standard right now. It's really good. I thought this card would I thought you could make use out of it, but every rogue deck that you're playing should have this card in it because it is super powerful, and rogue should probably not be able to do this. If I'm being honest, rogue should not have single target removal this powerful with the things that it can do. But maybe if Shadow Step gets removed, maybe that's enough of a nerf to it, but even still I think it's just a really freaking good card.
Shadow Step's a big part of it.
Strong argument for having a spin down 20-sided die just to make sure you keep track of how many things you've played that turn.
No, strong argument for them to put the number in the card. Put the number in this card.
Yeah, that as well. That would be nice.
I mean, I pretty much just subtract 1 from any number that I'm thinking that it's going to do, and that's pretty much how much damage it does. Just, alright, it's probably going to do like 5 damage, so we'll just say it does 4, because that's probably how much it's going to do. But also, I should have seen this card. I think I might have thought this card was good, but I can't verify in my head whether I actually thought it was good. And it's just kind of a defining card, which is Wriggling Horror and Mini Fungalmancer. Really just a solid card. Should have seen how like defining this card could be. I think it's like the definition of a B in the decks that want it.
Of a key support.
Is that a B?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's just like the card that when you're playing a lot of minions in your deck and you're trying to attack your opponent, you just want this card in it. And it's just really good, and almost it looks kind of unassuming, but if you've seen this effect before, you kind of know that it's going to be good. And I should have just had it like way high as an auto play in a lot of decks that can use an effect like this. And those were my goofs. And I guess the last section we have here is the cards we want to wait and see before we can come up with a firm conclusion on if we think the card is going to be good or not. But Hammer of the Naru, a super high on this card when it got revealed, and then everybody was playing Paladin and nobody was playing this card, and kind of made sense because there's just so much powerful stuff you can do in Paladin. But we started seeing it a bit more, especially when they went to completely pure Paladin and cutting like the Penflingers and stuff. And I think this card is really good, and I expect to see a lot of it after rotation, depending on what the meta looks like. But it's just like it's a lot of stats for the cost, and does a lot of things. So pretty excited to see what this card can do after rotation. And then I had on here Rinling's Rifle. I don't know that we've seen the full potential of it because it wasn't in lists for a long time. Kind of like very similar to Hammer of the Naru, where people weren't playing it immediately, and now we're seeing a big uptick in the amount of people playing it, and I think it's good. And it's gonna be good kind of no matter what happens. I think it's just a very powerful effect for Hunter. And then lastly, Moonfang. I don't think it's going to be good. I still don't think it's going to be good, but I want to wait and see. I just want, maybe, you never know. Effect is powerful.
Tell you what, it's great off Jandis.
Very good off Jandis. Very, very good.
That is very true. And I just hope we can do something with it, because it's just such a neat card, but I don't have high hopes. But I still want to wait. Yeah.
I feel confident both of your weapons will see heavy play. I feel pretty confident that those aren't going to be wait and see. Those are good cards. Hammer the Naru has been seeing on and off play. It is the best way to corrupt Carousel Griffin, which I think will be important. And it's a 3/3 that makes 6. A 3/3 weapon that makes 6/6 is really, really nice. In Rinling's Rifle, if there is a Hunter deck without that card in it, I would call that deck misbuilt. Like, there would need to be... The only way I wouldn't play that card is if Odd Hunter came back. And I would not play this card in Odd Hunter, because it costs 4. But otherwise, yeah. I think that card's just too good to not play. My wait and sees are... Part of this is meta-dependent, and part of this, like, Gahoon, the Blood God, really cool card and seems powerful. So for those that don't know, it's the Priest Legendary. It's an 8 mana 8/8. You draw 2 cards and they cost life instead of mana. We can't really afford to spend the life right now, and an 8-drop that draws cards isn't really where you want to be. It feels like you're way too far behind, and you can't really stack your deck all that well, and Priest doesn't really have any big payoffs where you cheat. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little too specific, if it's not quite the card that Priest will ever need. But I'm not ready to write it off. And the other card, I've seen this card floating about, and every time I play against it, I'm really annoyed by it. That's Claw Machine. It's a 6-mana neutral mech with Rush. It's a 6/3. When it dies, you fish a minion out of your deck and give it +3/+3. And it's not that, like, I'm never surprised to see people play it. And whenever they play it, I'm like, that's a pain in the butt. It kills a thing, and whatever they get out of it, I have to hope it's a bad minion, because if it's good, I'm just kind of screwed. And that's my feeling every time I play against the card. And that means the card should probably see some play. But as of right now, I think it's not quite synergistic enough. It's more of brute force stats. And that's usually the sort of thing we see in 4-set meta, so I don't think it'll see a lot of play right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is a future where this is in a lot of decks.
It's always felt pretty solid to me, and when I've used it, I was goofing around. I must have been a couple weeks back, maybe a month back, I forget, with some kind of quest paladin again, because every once in a while I'll go back to that. And Claw Machine was one of the cards I was using for draw, and it felt pretty great there. I think it's one of those where you probably run a 1 of, maybe not quite 2, just because it's 6 mana, but it feels good when you get that draw, +3/+3. In terms of my wait and sees, I've got Libram of Judgment here, just because, like, I know it's good, but I just don't know where it'll have a home. Particularly, I think Paladin's got a sort of a weapon issue right now, where there's just so many weapons and you can't run all of them reasonably. So kind of in a similar vein to BottGots' Hammer of the Naru pick, it's sort of like, well, which of these weapons are you running? And it comes down to, yeah, I guess your corruption package. But 15 damage over life swings is quite strong. Definitely gets a lot better once it can't be sticky fingered. Sticky finger will be rotating, so yeah, I mean, you could still get oozed, but it's a lot better to get oozed than stickied in terms of something with lifesteal like this.
Yeah, Libram of Justice, I think, messes a lot with Paladin, just because, like,
Yeah.
the equipping the 1/4 weapon is almost a downside.
Oh yeah.
Like, for a while it was all upside because you didn't really play any weapons in the deck and you almost never had to worry about it overriding, but now it's just like, oh man, I just have this weapon I almost never use 4 charges on. I almost always use 1 or 2 before it gets overridden, and I kind of want to override it after 1 charge, so...
Okay, I have a
it's
strategy
kind of
for
a
you.
weird spot.
I have a new strategy I've come up with in Paladin that's helped with this a lot. Whenever you have a weapon equipped, hit them in the face. Every single time you have a weapon equipped, just immediately hit them in the face, because sometimes you hold that Libram of Justice charge, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to need this. Sometimes, no. You're going to need it. Hit him in the face right now. That's what you're going to need it for. When you have Libram of Judgment, hit him in the face. If you have to play Justice, hit him in the face again, then play the Justice. This is the solution. Too many weapon charges? Your opponent has too much life? Do I have the solution for you? Put the weapon where their life is. Make those two things meet.
So next, also a corrupt card, Zanesh, the Priest Legendary. That's one that feels to me like it's waiting on 4-set meta, because reducing all the corrupt cards in your hand and deck by 2 is crazy powerful in terms of they corrupt easier, and yeah, obviously the reduction, not just for them getting corrupted, but also being able to play them, creates huge tempo swings. Kibler had a video recently where he played Zanesh on curve, and then the next turn just had a crazy huge tempo swing. Part of that is because of the 2-drop that can be corrupted indefinitely. Can do some pretty wacky stuff. Of note, with the way corrupt works, since it changes the card, that 2-drop that corrupts indefinitely will be whatever size that it dies as in your death pool. So you can rally it back as like an 11/11 or something. Pretty cool interaction. So I think Zanesh can do some powerful stuff. Priest has, fittingly the most corrupt cards, I think. And yeah, maybe at some point we'll see a straight corrupt control priest. That might be a thing down the line. Glacial Racer, honestly, it's a good card. Glacial Racer Frost Nova is powerful. I just don't think there's quite a deck for it yet, because you're sort of doing spell damage things in the burn decks right now, and Freeze Mage doesn't quite get there right now. I think the Freeze Mage felt good when the meta was flooded with Ramp Paladin, because they can't handle freeze, but Glacial Racer just doesn't quite have a home yet, and I don't know, that feels kind of like a shame to me. I'm sure it'll find one eventually, though. And lastly, I have Petting Zoo, because that hasn't really been played. I do think it's quite good. It's just not what Hunter is doing at the moment. I think part of it is that Hunter secrets tend to get triggered pretty quickly, and Petting Zoo is one of those things that wants you to hold on to your secrets for a bit, which can be challenging to make happen. But the times when it has been played against me, it has felt pretty rough, particularly if there's 2 secrets in play. So it summons 3/3/3s. Like that's pretty brutal. I think I get in the most in duels at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised to see more Petting Zoos down the line in some kind of secret Hunter.
The problem is Rinling's Rifle costs 4 and Petting Zoo costs 3. And you should never do this, but if those were switched in some fashion, like it wouldn't make sense for them to be switched, but if those were switched, then Petting Zoo would be crazy, because
Theoretically, what
Rinling's
you
Rifle-
do is you rifle on 4 and then Secret Zoo on 5, right?
Yeah, well, definitely. That is possible, but that's way worse than having the curve of like secrets into Petting Zoo that don't get triggered right away, because Rinling's Rifle can allow you to do that.
Yeah. Though, the new secret that only triggers if you have 2 or more minions in play, you can guarantee that does not trigger. But that
That's
also
true.
means that you spend 2 mana doing nothing, which is usually not great. And also, more importantly for Secret Hunter, Phase Stalker rotates. Not good for Secret Hunter, because Phase Stalker is a good card. Yep. Well,
There's one more thing I wanted to bring up, because I realized this, and I think it might apply to you too as well. But Carnival Clown, that was a miss for me.
Yep.
That was a
Yep.
big miss for me. I thought that was a meme, and that combo is legitimate, and it's very good
yeah.
if you can get it off. I mean, the deck is just not in a spot right now, but for a while, like, I felt like Ramp Druid was a legitimate deck, and Clowns were legitimate in that deck, and it was a scary combo, to say the least.
Yes. Though I will say, I played a match yesterday where I was playing Aggro Rogue, Stealth Aggro Rogue. My opponent went Coin Nozdormu into Colossus, into Clown, into N'Zoth, and then died the turn after they played N'Zoth. So, giving your opponent 10 mana, questionable. But you know what's not questionable? There's one last card that I want to bring up, firmly in the GOTS category. I want to be very clear about this. Dark Pharaoh Takan has been unplayable for the entire time he has been in Standard. It has been years. Literal years. People have told me I was wrong. People told me I was taking too strong of a stance. I was justified. I was trying to save you all from spending your dust. Those of you that
I don't know
listen,
what you're talking about, Hat. It's an amazing rogue card.
I played it. I was with BottGots at BlizzCon. We played it in Rogue on turn 5 and lost the game. Because we spent our turn 5 in a 4/4. So,
Still not an F.
card is unplayable.
I still refuse to call it an F.
Feel free to play it to con deck as long as you want.
Definition of an F.
You got
Hey,
maybe 2 more
there's-
months.
We called it me and Appa called it a D. Still stick by a D. You never play the card. doesn't mean it was an F.
Think that
Happy to
adding
be wrong.
adding
Happy
the
to be wrong.
card to your deck lowers your win rate. And I will
I
say,
think
very recently in Standard, a card that I did lose to, I posted a replay. I lost to a Discover Dr. Boom scheme.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
That happened. I posted the replay. The Dr. Boom
mean-
scheme was the difference maker.
I have also won games with Dark Pharaoh Takon. That doesn't count.
I'm just saying. Cards enough. So anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, especially our live listeners, for bearing with my audio issues. Unfortunately, my plumbing issues have not been resolved because I went to the bathroom and there was a bunch of brown stuff bubbling up from a sink. We're going to give the super a little call, but luckily there are 2 sinks in the house. There are no other drains this is happening to, so yay. I don't know. So, yeah, it's not poop. It's not poop. It's different brown stuff. So, we have many folks to like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coincede.com. You can find our contact info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show at patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch, twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats and our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Go ahead and to our email, coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconcede. Like, share, and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/coinconcede. If you like some swag, head into our shop, shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers. Oh my god, this list is so long. Number Theory, Tinner Wizard, Tony S, Doshi K, Pro B1, Dr. Feech, Boopty Boop, Pat T, Crush Cap, and Beef Squatch. Maybe we just start calling out the non-producers. I don't know. And we've got CoinConcede's huge thanks to Pro B1 for the 10 subs, Sharp for the 5 subs, Craptasm for the 5 subs, AK Realistic for the Prime sub, Bemi for the raid. CoinConcedes, BottGots, you've got the important one. Go ahead.
Important's interesting way to put it. So I got a tweet from a user, Mind Muscle, and I want to preemptively say that it was an extremely kind tweet, and I have nothing negative to say about it whatsoever. I really appreciate the kind words. It really makes me feel good about myself, and I really appreciate it. However, it also mentioned how Hat makes me the butt of jokes quite often on the show, and I would not have it any other way. I absolutely love that it happens. Hat and I have known each other for a really long time. I would consider him to be one of my best friends. And if he did not make me the butt of jokes sometimes, I don't think I would do the show anymore. I want it to be... I want this show to be able to be entertaining for people. And while sometimes I may not be as connected to Hearthstone as other times, the fact that I can sometimes be somewhat of a comic relief for people, while we may not be Blizzlet or Squelch in terms of comedy, I like to think that sometimes we have some very entertaining content, and very happy to be the butt of a joke every once in a while. And I try to give it back to Hat, but he talks quick. He's a slippery one.
Yes.
He's very, very convincing with the words. So anyway, I really want to say I can't thank you enough for the kind words, but I have to say that I love this show because I can come on and be a fool and say how I disenchanted Thorasan, or no, not Thorasan. I disenchanted, or I said the Call to Arms was not going to be a playable card or whatever, and have it get nerfed. It's I love being on the show. I love getting stuff wrong and having jokes about me, and I hope that people can enjoy that. So yeah, thanks everybody so much, because yeah, I don't know. I think the person that is hardest on me is myself, and sometimes I get in my own head that some negative thoughts about my contributions to the show, and Hat is one of the most supportive people of me being on the show, and I just love it. I love every week getting to come on and chat with you people about Hearthstone, whether I've played 100 hours in the last week or 5 hours in the last week.
it's the content, and it's I think that it might come across that we set up these situations where you get flustered and say stuff, but from when we spent time together in real life, no, I think that's just how it is. I think that just
Yeah.
sometimes you just get flustered and say stuff, and we just are lucky enough to be able to record it. So, yeah. But my coin concedes most to BottGots, of course, for being a part of the show, and for a while there was really just the two of us holding it down and getting some really high quality guests and making that work. And BottGots is the only person that can make a what was that awful highway that we were on for 3.5 hours?
That was the 5 into the 101.
Yes.
Oof.
BottGots is the only person that can make 3.5 hours in the 5 until the 101 at 6 a.m. enjoyable. So, thanks for
Yeah,
that.
that wasn't too bad. It didn't feel like we were in the car that long.
No, it felt like about
We-
3.5 hours.
We chatted literally the whole time.
We did, and we
I don't
recorded
think
it.
We stopped talking. Yeah.
But yeah,
great.
it was in the future. I enjoyed it.
We'll get a closer Airbnb.
Would prefer less traffic. Yes. Also
Yeah,
less
well, I mean,
fire.
Yeah, that, and also maybe just book a hotel room. 'Cause
Which
somehow we booked one for
on the
we
second night,
probably
yeah.
we probably overpaid, and also it was still very reasonable somehow.
On
and
the
was
second
within
night we
range
were
of Blizzcon.
there. In between leaving the restaurant and walking to the car, I booked a hotel room on an app for $70 each of us for one night. Because we were about to drive back 2.5 hours and then do it again in the morning. I'm like, hey, can we get a hotel right now? I just booked one. And Bot's like, okay. And then we just went to the hotel and went to sleep. And we woke up and we went to the BlizzCon. Good times. I miss people. Ugh. Edelweiss, what are your coin conceits?
So my coin concede is to Boopty Bop. You mentioned one of our producers, but also I did a coaching session with him, and he offered me as a thank you this thing that I had never heard of before called a challenge coin. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, a challenge coin is a small coin or medallion bearing an organization's insignia or emblem and carried by the organization's members. This one was from his area in the Navy. And it was just a really sweet gift and very unique, and I'll remember it and carry it with me for a long time. So it came in the mail this week, and really cool gift. So thank you, Boopty Bop.
And that's going to be our show. So keep calm and buff your lackeys while you still can. And if you see us on ladder, to concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Boom concede.
All right. Stopping recording, stopping streaming. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry about all the issues throughout the show, but I'll figure it out. Later, y'all.